Hello and welcome back to Marineford TCG. My name is Joe and we're here with the first OP12 CS over in Japan. This is the Hokkaido CS and OP12 has brought out some interesting new leaders and I'm really excited to see how they impact this meta. Green Zoro has so far been the most successful at the local level in Japan, being able to attack more than once per turn. It's just kind of crazy, right? Kuzan's a personal favourite of mine. He draws an incredible amount of cards, has so many resources to work with, and can spam the board with those combos with that monkey D-Garp. Koala was a leader that was extremely hyped before this set came out. Hasn't so far shown herself, but it does seem like a more tricky leader to build. So I wonder if we'll see any Koala players at this CS. Here are the promos you can win if you make the top. You've got the Yasop for the top 8 and the Ben Beckman. Beautiful cards. And here is the distribution of the players in this tournament. We've got 21% on the blue-purple Luffy, 18% on that new Green Zoro, 6% Enel, 6% green-purple Luffy, 5% Kuzan, 5% on Bonnie, 4% on Rayleigh, 4% on Bellobetti, 3% on Lucci, and 3% on Zoro. Red Zoro. Both Zoros make it onto this graphic. Pretty exciting times. And we have 21% of the players playing other decks outside of these. That's pretty interesting. 18% Zoro is very high, considering how new this leader is, and how it's going to take a little while to get used to him. I guess this means he can at least compete with Blue-Purple Luffy, which is pretty exciting. Because Blue-Purple Luffy, last set, the only real way you had to beat him reliably was by playing aggro. And this Zoro deck is aggressive, but it's not aggressive in the same way that something like Red Zoro or Bellobetti is. It's aggressive with the leader, which is honestly pretty cool. The Green Zoro playstyle is something that's going to take a little while to adjust to, I feel. But I'm pretty hyped to see if we can see any Green Zoro gameplay in this top 8. We do only have matches for the top 8 at this event, and there's no top 16 match on stream, I'm afraid. So we will just have 3 matches. And here's the top 8. 4 blue-purple Luffys. He's still on top. You can't take him down. And then we've got 3 green Zoro and 1 red Zoro. Interesting. 4 Luffys and 4 Zoros. Nobody can compete with the Straw Hat crew. Nice to see some representation out of OP12 leaders already. I can't lie. I was hoping to see Kuzan. Kuzan's such a cool dude. But we do at least have Zoro. I'm excited to see what these players are including in their Zoro builds. There's a lot of different things you can put in there that we've seen going around. Things like some new cards, like Luffy's the man who will become the king of the pirates, allowing you to restand that leader for just 3 Don, similar to the I'm Invincible card in Uta. Also, some old promo cards, like I'm going to become the king of the pirates, which can buff your leader to make your leader bigger. And Zoro's strategy generally is all around controlling your opponent's board with your leader. You've got characters like this Karina that can attach Dons to your Zoro and rest one of your opponent's characters. And we've got other characters like this Toshigi that can do the same thing, but for a bit more Don and a bit higher of a threshold. The Zoro deck has a lot of ways to rest your opponent's dudes and then use Zoro's powerful activate main to take out their board while still applying pressure to their leader, which is something we've not really seen before. And here are the 2 players in the top 8. I'm excited. Let's see what we're getting. We've got the Green Zoro, so I'm really pleased that we're going to get to see some gameplay of the new OP12 Green Zoro. Like I was saying, with that Don X3 activate main, able to restand himself if he's battled a character during this turn, then cannot battle characters with an original cost of 7 or less until the end of your turn. So it stops him from super farming board, but you at least get 1 swing into a character every turn, which is pretty cool. The fact that you get to do this while still applying good pressure to face is something that we don't see from decks like Lucci that just focus on playing board. He's got no pressure on face, and we are going to see him taking on the former BDIF Blue-Purple Luffy. Blue-Purple Luffy, I don't think gained much in this new set. Maybe a couple small pieces here and there. But generally, just relying on those same old Sanji combos. Sanji Linlin's going to be incredibly impactful. But the aggression that this Zoro player can put out is pretty extreme. And one interesting thing to note is there's a weird dynamic with blockers with Zoro. Because Zoro has the activate main to restand if you battle the character, if the Zoro player swings at the Luffy leader, and then the Luffy player blocks with something like an 8-cost Katakuri, well, that counts as battling a character. So then Zoro can just restand. So even if you don't want to take out your opponent's board, if they block, you still get to restand. It's crazy. It means that blockers are just not that useful into Zoro, which it's a very new dynamic, really. We've seen unblockable and things like that in the past, but nothing quite the same. And the players are finally getting set up. I'm excited to see what's in the players' hands. Who are we going to first? Looks like the blue-purple Luffy player is starting. Going to be looking for that triple ramp, of course. When you're going first, you really want to see that triple ramp as blue-purple Luffy. And we're going to get to see the cards in the players' hands real soon here. Zoro, you've got to imagine, if he's going second, going to be looking for potentially that Kuina to deal with something like a Zoro Juro. That the blue-purple Luffy can play out. Kuina able to rest herself, give 3 dons to your leader, and rest a 4. Would enable the Zoro player to rest a Zoro Juro, swing 8 into it, and then still swing 8 into leader. It's crazy that you get to do both with this leader's activate main. And we do see the hand. We do see that Zoro Juro that I was talking about. We also see a Gear Second, a Nami Blocker, an Usahachi, and a Gum Gum Giant. Pretty solid hand, honestly. You got 2 ramp. Not quite 3, but getting 2 this early on is always good. Got a blocker that we can play on the second turn. If we don't get the triple ramp, we can still go with something like a single ramp and then into a Nami. 2k always good as well. And a Giant for later. Not too bad. Let's see what this Zoro player's got. Looks like he's got 2 Koshiros. So that's a new blocker out of OP12. We've got a 0-cost event. We've got a new Hiyori tap searcher. So this Hiyori searches the top 5 of your deck for slash type characters or green events. And then that Ruronoa Zoro, mostly just a 2k. His effect, not too crazy. The players are ready. This tournament's reached the top 8. Let's get underway. I'm really excited to see how this match goes. Let me know in the comments who you think is going to win this match. Let's go. Good luck to both the players. Here we go. Top 8 of the Hokkaido CS. And we are going to see that blue-purple Luffy player starting us off just with a simple 1-don pass. Zoro going to draw for turn. Going to be looking to play out that Hiyori potentially. Draws into a 5-cost Tashigi. That Tashigi going to come down on as soon as the 6-don turn. Give 3-don to the leader. But we don't see the Hiyori. We do just see the Koshiro blocker coming down. 6k at lead from the blue-purple Luffy. Then he's got the choice of either playing out the Zoro Juro or that Gear Second to get the ramp. Goes with the Gear Second, the guaranteed ramp. Most likely aware that Kuina can come down and ruin his day if he goes with that Zoro Juro. And we do see the Zoro player take the life and then draw for turn. Looks like he's got a Perona off of the life and a 5-cost Smoker for the draw for turn. So here on this 4-don turn, we've not got too much going on. We've got some searches. We've got the Perona. That Perona searches top 5 on play for slash type characters or green events. Hiyori, same deal. She searches top 5 for slash trait characters or green events, but is a tap searcher. It's costs 1 to play and then 1 to tap. We are going to see 1-don for that Perona coming down first. Perona's going to do a top 5 search, potentially looking for a Kuina. We see a copy of Paradise Waterfall, which is a really interesting event that lets you restand one of your guys. We see the new card, Dead Man's Game, with that Hody Jones on play on an event. And it looks like we are eyeing up that Dead Man's Game. That Dead Man's Game, 1-don event, but if you rest 3 more, you can rest 2 in any combination of characters and dons. Into purple decks, especially, that's incredibly powerful. And we do see the prioritization of swinging 8 to get that Luffy player down to 2 life as soon as possible, over doing more searching. Zoro player happy with what he's got in his hand. Luffy player draws for turn. Draws another Zoro Juro. Not particularly useful at this point in time. We are on 6-don here. Potentially, you could play out both and then guarantee you'll be at 9 on the next turn. Or you can just go with that Nami and try and dig towards something like an 8-cost Katakuri. Although, like we said, that 8-cost Katakuri, not terribly impactful into the Zoro, because if he has 3 Don as leader, and you block with it, well, he's swinging again. We do see the choice of the Nami for just coming down for 5, draw 3, and then you can put 2 back, either on the top or bottom of your deck. We do see that 8-cost Katakuri. I think that's very, very likely to be coming down next turn. And we also see a 9-cost Lin and a God Thread. God Thread able to KO 5 and ramp. I'm interested to see what this player chooses to get rid of. Potentially that God Thread, not too impactful now that we've opted to not ramp on this turn. It looks like we're eyeing up a Zoro Juro and a God Thread. Do get rid of those. Both that Katakuri and that Lin could be incredibly important in this matchup to help this blue-purple Luffy player go the distance. Zoro Juro and God Thread not really doing it right now, so we do see the ditch on those. And now the Zoro player is beginning their 6th Don turn. Does have access to that Tashigi, which can come down, rest that Nami, give 3 Dons to the leader. Then we could see some swings into both the Nami and the blue-purple Luffy leader already, which is crazy. Denying that blocker or forcing cards out of the blue-purple Luffy player's hand. They want to protect the blocker. It's kind of nuts. And we do indeed see that 5-cost Tashigi come down, 5-7 on play, rest to 6, then give up to 3 rested Dons to your Roronoa Zoro leader. And we do see of the 4th Don come down to 9k into the Nami, activate main, restand it because he's battled that character, 9k at leader. Insane aggression, right? We've played a 5-7, we've destroyed his blocker, and we've dealt a damage. That's nuts. This blue-purple Luffy player is entering their 8 Don turn now. Draws a red rock for turn. Gets what looks like another Zoro Juro off the life. And we are going to see 6 potentially playing out that Katakuri for just 8 Dons next. Zoro player debating what they want to do. Whether they want to counter this 6 or not. They are getting a little low, but says we ball. Taking the extra life. It looks like he drew a Tashigi 2k off that one. And then we do see the Katakuri come down, ramping 1 Don as rested at the end of the turn. Zoro entering his 8 Don turn. Luffy, of course, was 1 Don ahead because he did ramp just once. We are going to see what this Luffy player... We're going to see what this Zoro player decides to do on their 8 Don turn. Do have a few interesting options. We could go with something like a Smoker to establish another body for next turn. We could even just go with Dead Man's Game and rest this Katakuri and swing in large. It's an interesting dynamic, though, with the blocker, like I say. Because if he chooses to swing into life, for example, something like 8 into life, and the Luffy player blocks, well, it doesn't really do anything. So it's kind of tricky. We also have that 7k power Tashigi. For just 1 Don, you can be attacking 8 into 6, which is nuts. Really, really crazy. Looks like we've got a couple of smokers now. Getting one of those down could be pretty good in anticipation of Lin. Lin, of course, able to remove one of those characters. But if he plays out something like the 3-cost Tashigi, that 3-cost Tashigi could be pretty crazy. Denies any form of removal, you can just rest Tashigi. Although it is worth noting that because the 5-cost character on the board is also named Tashigi, the 3-cost Tashigi cannot protect the 5-cost Tashigi. Bit of an interesting techie one there. And we do see the ditch on the 2k for Inosuke for that 7 on 6 from the Tashigi. And then we're going to... Oh, we just have the Mihawk. I didn't see that in his hand. That Mihawk, a crazy new card. 8/8 blocker. On play. Restand 4 Dons. Nuts. And we do see a 6k swing coming into the Luffy. We are going to look to see that block, I think. We do see the block. And now the Zoro restands and swings for his full 9. Interesting to see where this goes. I imagine into life. And we do see it go into life. And the Luffy player is already at 0. He's at 0. He's got not much board other than this Katakuri, but we do see the first leader effect of the game. We see a 9-cost Sanji in there. Nothing else crazy. Got a Thunder Bagua. A couple of 2Ks and a God Thread. I don't think anything very good there, honestly. Maybe we just take a 2K and then send the rest to the trash. Look, I think we're going to be going with Lin this turn. Lin able to put that Tashigi in life whilst getting us a life back. It's at least some decent pressure. But we do see them put them on top. I wasn't keeping track of the stack. I imagine that God Thread has probably gone to life because that's a nice ramp coming out of life. Enables you to do Don -1 and then use Gum Gum Giant and not feel too bad about it. We are going to see first a 6 into 5 block with the Mihawk, keeping it simple. He knows that the Luffy player is not going to be swinging big into his characters. And we do see 8 into 5, getting the Zoro player all the way down to 1 life already. This game's going so fast. In comparison to last format, this game is so explosive, it's crazy. We do see that 9-cost Linen coming down, of course. Don -1, got to trash 1 card from hand. Looks like we're going to ditch a Red Rock, potentially. That Red Rock, very good for dealing with Zoro's stuff, but when they're just quite this aggressive, you don't have the time to play it sometimes. And we do see the heal. And like I say, I very much imagine that is a God thread that he put in the life. If you were watching the stack more carefully than I'm sure you'll know. We do see the Katakuri restand and the Mihawk restand as well, as the Zoro enters their first 10-don turn. So, one card that's interesting towards the end of the game, of course, we could play out the Dead Man's Game. The Dead Man's Game, able to rest that Katakuri and that Don. It's just up to this player when he wants to pull the trigger. Because it's a brilliant card, but you don't often run too many of it. Maybe a 2 of, maybe a 3 of. And we do have one in hand, though. We also have a Luffy is going to become the King of the Pirates, which is a 3-don event that can restand your leader. So Zoro can potentially swing 3 times in 1 turn, which is kind of nuts. We do still have that big Mihawk on the board. He's really powerful. And here we are. There's the graphic for the Dead Man's Game. Like I say, that card is just incredible. The fact that it's a 3k counter event as well, it's nuts. And we do see the Dead Man's Game come down, resting that Katakuri, resting that Don. The Luffy player does have a decent amount of counter, but is it going to be enough? And we do see that looks like 12k into the Katakuri. And if he defends this, well, this Zoro is still swinging at lead. And the Zoro can actually swing twice into the Katakuri. Because after his activate main, you can't battle 7-cost or lower characters for the rest of the turn. You can still battle 8-cost characters and higher. So that Katakuri getting off the board, really good. The Zoro player got a lot more freedom with their board now. And we do see 8 into lead from the Mihawk. Going to be that 2k, 1k from the Luffy player. And then we see another 11 into leader. And we do see the take on that, grabbing it was the Thunder Bargo. That has an activate main. That has a trigger that ramps a Don as well. And we do see the next stack. Double 9-cost Sanjis. We do see an 8-cost Katakuri. Those blockers, just not very good into Zoro. Because he can restand, or he can just rest them. Zoro doesn't care. Blockers are no match for Zoro. And we do, the rest of this is not amazing. We might just see the grab on that Usahachi. The only counter card in those 5. Now, will he decide to put them back on the top or the bottom? Looks like he's eyeing up potentially the God Thread. The God Thread? Really? Now, we've got that 8-cost Katakuri on the top. If you play that 8-cost Katakuri for just 8, you could keep 2 Don open, which then if the Zoro player has another Dead Man's Game, cannot rest the Katakuri and all of the Dons. And does look like we see them put back on top. Interesting. Is this Katakuri going to be enough? We do see the draw on the Katakuri. 6 lead. We're going to see a simple 2k. 9 presumably at lead. This might be a take here for the Zoro player. Nope, we're going to block with Koshiro. We don't want to get too crazy. Usahachi able to rest that guy later on. So let's just get the use out of him now. Katakuri comes down. 2 Don open. Dead Man's Game not able to rest everything. Don't believe the Zoro player has another Dead Man's Game anyway. But we do have a Luffy's the man who'll become the King of the Pirates. Lots of Searcher events as well. We could go digging for that Dead Man's Game. If we really wanted to. Perona. There you go. Perona top 5 search for any green event. Or a slash trait character. Incredible for Zoro. Gets ridiculous efficiency. How many Dons is this? That's 7 Dons. That's 12k at lead. That's so tough. 12k. That's nuts. And we do see the Gum Gum Giant countering out, discarding that Bargwa. Don -2. Draw 2 cards. Taking Luffy up to 10. We need 2k, 1k more. And does look like we have that 2k, 1k more. Very nice. And then we're going to see Luffy is the man, become the King of the Pirates, restanding that Zoro leader, swinging once more for 12 at lead. This guy, I don't think he has it. Oh, he does have another Gum Gum Giant, though. This second Gum Gum Giant could be enough to get out of the swing. We do see the Gum Gum Giant come down. Ditching the God Thread. Don -2, going all the way back to 6 Don, buff to 10. We need 2k, 1k. We have it. We don't have any more counter, though. The Mihawk, if it swings 8, is going to take out this Katakuri. The Zoro player may choose to not swing. He doesn't have that much counter in hand. He doesn't. He doesn't choose to swing with the Mihawk. We know that Mihawk would have taken out the Katakuri. He doesn't know that. But this Luffy player only got 8 Don. Not only no leader effects, but can't play out very much this turn. No Sanjis. And we've got 3 dead cards. We've got 2 Sanjis and a Luffy. None of them can do anything. All we've got to play is Usahachi, and that's not going to do anything. I think the game's over. The aggression you get out of this Zoro, it's crazy. We are going to see 8 at lead with the Katakuri. This Luffy player, I think, sort of forced to go for game here. Zoro player, I think, has enough counter to get out of this. Also has that big 8 cost Mihawk blocker. But he is going to choose to just block and then 1k out of this one by the looks of it. Yeah, we do see the block. Then we see the 1k with the Hiyori. This Luffy player now can choose to try and take out the Mihawk. But these blockers, they're just not very effective against Zoro. We do see 6k at lead. And that's a simple 2k for the Zoro with that 2k to Shigi. Then we do see 13. Is this into Mihawk? Yeah, 13 to Mihawk. He's going to try and take out that Mihawk. 4 Don open. He's bluffing events like a madman. Look at this guy. I love it. I love it. We know he doesn't have any events, but the Zoro player does not know that. The Zoro player sees 4 Don open. He can only realistically rest a maximum of 2. But it looks like he is going to counter out of that with 6k counter. Saving that Mihawk. The Big Mum Pirates all going to restand. And then the Zoro player going to draw for turn. Does he draw another one of those crazy events that we've been seeing? We know it doesn't really matter. But, yeah, what's the draw for turn? Just a 2k. Just a 2k. Okay. Well, we could see a play as simple as 15-15. It could really be that simple. Also got the Mihawk. The Mihawk, if it swings, even just for 8, is going to get rid of that Katakuri. Unless he wants to block 2 and just continue to bluff events. Hope that the Zoro player messes up. This should be the culmination of this game, though, on this turn here. Zoro carefully considering his options. With Blue-Purple Luffy, you never truly know quite how much counter they've got. Because the Gum Gum Giant chains can just be ridiculous. We saw on that last turn, he was able to chain 1 Gum Gum Giant into another to get out of those 2 12k swings. Which was nuts. But it has left him in this precarious position that we see now. We're going to go with the Perona. We're looking for events. What events are we looking for? Dead Man's Game, rest those Dons, rest those blockers. And also the Luffy is the man who will become the King of the Pirates. Looks like we're opting for that 3 cost. Luffy's the man who will become the King of the Pirates. 11k at lead. Blocks with Katakuri. Activate main. 11k at lead. And that is the game. The Luffy player did not have any events in his hand. So Zoro able to take the win here in the top 8 of the Hokkaido CS. Congratulations to this player for their win. It was a very fast, high action game. Zoro able to carefully control Blue-Purple Luffy's board with his activate main, enabling him to attack twice per turn. Effectively, pretty crazy. Well played to this player. Thank you for watching. We'll be back with the top 4 before you know it.